Hey there, gonna do a review of Pokemon Legends ZA. So this is gonna be a little bit different to your regular reviews. This is gonna be more of a candid talk discussion. I'm gonna go over the topics that I found and I think are most important when considering playing this game, and also this is a little bit of a message to the Pokemon Company on what we want to see as gamers. So hopefully this gets the traction it needs and deserves, so we can get the message out there that we need some things to improve because we are getting taken for a ride. Let me explain. So the gameplay, well, specifically the story, is pretty decent, right? You play Pokemon, you have like a light-hearted story. You have a little bit of emotion in there. You've got some sort of big bad boss or something terrible's happening. It's whatever it is. It's been pretty much the same for all the games. Like, obviously you can't tell exactly what's going to happen because there's a twist and turns, and all games have been like that. So the Pokemon experience for the story side has been pretty similar for the last few games. I felt like Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield probably got away with it being a little bit more lighthearted or more emotional than this game. I felt like a lot of ZA felt flat a lot. So they weren't able to get as much emotion through the game, and that's mainly because of voice acting. I think it's about time that they actually start to do voice acting for the game, and I don't think we should accept a game that doesn't have any voice acting anymore. Just this game had cutscenes in it. It had some impactful story moments. There was some cool characters, and even just your regular characters. Every single interaction in the game could have been elevated so much more. This could have been a massive experience, a massive RPG game. So missing out on that voice acting is really hurting the franchise. It's really hurting this game. I understand that it's been this way for like 30 years, but it needs to change. Okay, we have the we no longer have the turn-based battle in this game, and that shouldn't be the case for the mainline games. So like the next games or whatever they are, they should revert back to the turn-based games and what we had, this system that they built from the ground up, the kind of Final Fantasy style live action gameplay works well in this game. I think it's okay, and I wouldn't actually mind seeing it again in another Legend ZA game, or not Legend ZA, but another Legend series game. So we've got evolution on the gameplay side. So they put in their efforts in that, and they're spending the time doing the story and making the cinematics and doing that. However, they're just not putting in the effort for voice acting, and it's actually not too big of a cost for them to add it in. It's not really going to impact their delivery timelines, and they're also not a small company. We're talking about the largest IP in the world, so there is just no excuse for them to not do it anymore. I did some research on it, and just to have like your main characters, your main story, your gym leaders, whatever, the cinematics be voice acted, you've got, I don't know, let's say about 50k just for one location, or like one language, like, so let's say English. Add a few more languages in there, add the main languages in there, Spanish, Japanese, French, German, and then you're probably looking at 200, and max you're looking at like 500k for a game that's going to gross millions. So we're talking insignificant amount of money compared to what will elevate the game to what we as players are after. Like they're making a story that's emotional and that you can get behind, and not only just for children. However, you can't feel that. You're just smashing the buttons. Half the people aren't reading it. The other half of the people who are reading it aren't getting the full emotion across that what it should be. So that's where they really need to improve on the game. I really felt that quite a lot. So I did a full let's play. I completed the game start to finish without any guides, so I was able to complete it. And one of the issues I had most of the time was the lack of voice acting and the lack of emotion that I was able to see from the game. I'm not only going to talk about the negatives, right? I'm going to talk about the things it does well as well. And since this isn't just your typical review, this is more of a candid talk. I'm just going to cross back and forward between the topics. So when you start off the game, you got the tutorial and early game. It's too long. Like we went from Scarlet Violet where, okay, we start playing and we have literally the whole Paldea to go and explore, and we can do whatever we want. This game, I swear, it felt like 3 hours or something before it started to unlock, and then it's like, okay, now I've kind of figured out how the game is going to go, what the rhythm is. It's like, do this, then do that, then do this again, and then that repeats a few more times. But yeah, the tutorial and early game took a gigantic time, and even while playing through it, I'm like, oh, let me go explore here, or let me go catch that Pokemon, or let me try pick up that item that's like just a little bit away, and I wasn't able to do any of that. So the artificial blocking of the game hurts it as well. I think most people are better off just going out and exploring, and if they stuff up, then they can, reset and then just follow the story along, because they've got indications of where you can go next, and they've got notifications on the map of where you need to go, so you don't really get lost. So there's no point in blocking out and making a hard tutorial. So that's the early game and how that went. So it was a little bit slow to get into, and then you have to also try and figure out how the gameplay goes, because this is the first time we're doing the live gameplay, so all the action gameplay. The biggest gripe that I have with that is the targeting. So everything was good. We had some we can use skills like Fire Blast, and you can use other skills like Rock Throw and stuff that you normally don't use, because its hit chance is like a 90 or 75, because you don't really want to miss, so it's too risky to use it. However, in this game you can use those moves, so it felt good, and it opened up quite a large variety on how you can build your Pokemon. So that was good. However, the biggest problem is you need to target who you're targeting. So you're constantly having to press your left trigger or the left button to select the Pokemon you want to target. And sometimes it's not selecting where you want, because you're not getting your right cursor or your right thumbstick far enough over to where you need it to go. Or sometimes there's some breakable objects like rocks, or there's something like the Mega Stones, and your Pokemon is hidden the Mega Stones, and then you're getting hit by your opponent. So I found that a lot, and it no more obvious than when you're doing the battle zones. So you're running in a battle zone, and you're trying to sneak in. Your Pokemon is just about to land a hit, so you've got it targeted. You get spotted at the last second, so your Pokemon then no longer lands the hit, and then you've lost targeting. So then that Pokemon hits you, and you're just like, what's going on? I'm not hitting anything, because you're still holding down the target button. So then you have to let go of the targeting button, then press the targeting button again, and then hit your move. So this constantly happened when I was doing the battle zones at night. So every time I got spotted, I kept getting hit until I remembered that I have to let go of the button and then target again, even though I had it targeted, even though my hit was just about to land. So that was a very, very frustrating experience. Targeting should be auto. You should be able to override it, but it should have smart targeting as a standard. Like, I'm pretty sure you can kind of consider this game very similar in terms of its gameplay to like Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, they went from a turn-based system to a action-based system, and they went into a smart targeting thing. That's what should have happened in this game. Since we're talking about the day-night cycles with the battle zones, that brings me up to the next problem I have with the game is so you're just playing along, going through the storyline, and then it hits night, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not ready to go do a battle zone, so I'm just going to continue doing the story. However, you just get a 3-second or 4-second loading screen, and then you get the little cinematic that says, hi, this is a nighttime now, so the battle zone's open. And then you're like, okay, well then let me continue what I was doing. But say you were trying to catch a Pokemon, and you're in the middle of catching a Pokemon or doing an alpha or something, and then it just turned night. Well, too bad, you lost the encounter you're in. Everything else around you has respawned. It's now night, so you lost whatever you were doing. That just feels bad. It feels awful. Like, how are you going to tell me, oh, it's sunset just happened, and you're telling me this Pokemon that was just about to attack me, or I was about to attack, suddenly vanished because it went nighttime? Like, it doesn't work in any. It's bad gameplay. It doesn't make sense in real life. It's just very, very bad coding. They should not have a loading screen go into when the map changes for it to go a battle zone. So, look, I'm not a game developer, but that is an issue that they had setting this up. They should have been able to figure out another way that you don't get the loading screen and your Pokemon that you're trying to catch disappear. And then this also happens again once the night cycle ends. So at the end of the night cycle, even if you didn't participate, you still have to get the loading screen that says you got no tokens, you got no credits, you got nothing, and then the Pokemon despawn again. So you just deal with the same thing twice. So I kept saying this every time it happened. It was disruptive to the playthrough I was doing. You know, I was trying to do a story thing, and then just in the middle I just get a random thing. It's really frustrating, and it bothers the tempo of the game. So an option would be to be able to deactivate this function or activate it, so you know, you'll focus on doing what you want to do, and then when you're ready to do it, you can turn on the function again, or you can just manually just go sit on the park bench whenever you want to activate it. Like, I don't know why they did it on a timer. So that's one of that problems, the main problems that I had. So then we move on to rival battles, which was pretty funny because they really didn't exist. You had a rival battle at the start, you had one at the end of the game, and they both fell flat. They weren't really difficult. A lot of the other battles we had in the game were a lot more complicated. The final boss I found to be extremely complicated, and I'm not an awful player. I'm average or above average game player. I've been playing Pokemon forever, been playing other games forever, and the only way to get through the boss that I found was you have to do what you can, your party faints, and then you start again, and you just continue where you left off, which just doesn't make sense in terms of gameplay. So, you know, that's I feel like that was bad boss design. on that. They could have found another way to make a better way to get through that. Like maybe, I don't know, every time you got the I actually won't go into that because that's spoilers, but whenever certain things happen in the fight, maybe your whole team gets healed up or something like that. That would have made more sense. But I would imagine that some pros out there or some speedrunners out there down the line in the future will be doing this without any problem. However, most casuals that are playing through the game are going to experience the same thing that I did. So that moves on to the difficulty of the game. I found the difficulty quite hard compared to other Pokemon games. Most casual people are really going to struggle. However, it is forgiven that you can just over level. And once you over level, then it really doesn't matter because you can just stomp anything. And then that moves on to the mega battles or the boss battles that you have. If you fail, you can just continue off with how much damage you've dealt, and your party or your teammate that's helping you is also doing damage. So there's the fail safe in there, so even an absolute beginner can get through the game. So difficulty is more difficult than a traditional Pokemon game, but it's still playable for most people to get through. However, it's kind of a feels bad moment when you can't get through it because it's too hard for you, so you have to fail and then continue where you left off, when most people are going to want to try complete it without having to restart it. One of the things that I really liked about the game was this access to starter Pokemon that you have. So not too far into the game, you get access to another starter Pokemon, and then in the wild zones that unlock throughout the game, you can also catch some of the starter Pokemon. And I really like that. I think they, especially with this game and how difficult it can be, having starter Pokemon balances out your team. And you can also use an old favorite of yours. So I feel like more Pokemon games need to do that and have it early, have them accessible early, have them available midway through the game, and make them so they can be added to your team. And I basically had 2 starters throughout my whole team, and you could easily make, actually no, I had 3 starters, and by the end of it I had a 4th one, but you know, that 4th one wasn't on my final team. But yeah, I do really like that. And going into the end game now, I can have a whole team full of starters. Like we're talking like Gen 6, Gen 1, Gen 2. We're talking like, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Something that I also found from the replies and views that I'm getting from the Let's Play that I did was some people might struggle to find something. Like not everything in the game is very well explained. Like so the average person is just going to get up to a point of like, I don't know what I need to do, I don't know where I need to go, what's going on. Like for one scenario, you had to do something specifically at night, and for me, I was lucky enough that my game got interrupted with the night cycle, and then when I checked where I needed to check, the person happened to be there. So if it was daytime when I was trying to run around, I wouldn't have figured out what was going on, and I would have been confused. So there wasn't enough information on that. But I kind of like the exploration, because that's basically how Pokemon's been. You know, you go into a cave, you try to figure your way out. It's kind of like a maze. How do I get to that legendary deeply within the cave? So we still kind of had that with the city, mostly when looking for megas, right? When you're going to go look for the megas, they're like, you have to find some sort of scaffolding to climb up and jump across, or go under stairs or whatever. There was quite a few things you had to do so you could get to where you needed to go. And I kind of like that puzzle solving, and I felt like that was a good addition to kind of making you go into where you need to go. It was a little difficult not having jump, like having access to a rideable Pokemon in previous games where you can jump over things and glide and have all the movement, and then this game everything's like really cut down and you're just running everywhere. There is fast travel, but that kind of takes you out of the immersion as well. So they were the main topics that I had to cover. I would like to hear from you what you think about the game, what you enjoyed and what you didn't like. Do you agree with me that voice acting needs to be in the game and it's not negotiable anymore? Was there anything that I missed? So just to go over what I rate the game, should you buy it or should you not? Story, because of the voice acting, I'll just give it like around a 5 or something. Gameplay, because it's not a mainline game and it's kind of a side game, I will accept the change to action and not turn-based. So for this game, I think it did well, and because they would have had to redesign everything, redesign moves and Pokemon and everything. So for the gameplay and a new experience for a Pokemon game, I'll give that an 8 or a 9. So it was worthwhile as a new Pokemon experience for fans and for new people into the game. The music, I would rate that high as well. I enjoyed a lot of the music that was in the game, and right now you can probably hear the piano music from Hotel Z, and that's nice and soothing, and I had that playing while I've been editing videos. So the music is also up there, like a 8. I don't think it's going to be super memorable like some other games, so that's why it misses out on a higher score. The graphics, I think the Pokemon look absolutely unreal. I think just when they're following you around or they're just nearby you, I think all of the Pokemon that they designed looks really good. However, they couldn't add all the Pokemon into the game because I would have imagined that would have taken a lot of resources to design each one by one. So that also gets a really high mark as well. But the other side of the graphics is the world was pretty average. A lot of people are saying, the windows or the flat buildings, and you don't really get to go into too many buildings. So that's Henry. He completely agrees with me as well on that. But I don't think that takes out of it. What's most important is your player avatars look good, the people you're challenging, your Pokemon all look great. So that brings me down to the final score. I reckon this is probably a 7.5 out of 10, depending on where you sit on the Pokemon spectrum. If you're really into Pokemon and you can forgive the Pokemon Company for a lot of issues, then this is a definite buy. If you just dabble in Pokemon here and there, this might be one for you to miss. If you're very pedantic in like, okay, it's 2025, we should have the best graphics in the world, we should have voice acting, I have very little time to play games, so the game I play has to be a masterpiece. If that's the case, then maybe stick away from picking it up. But for most people, most casual people, people that are into an RPG, and I would say that this really feels like a Final Fantasy or a Final Fantasy Light kind of game. So it's a very good experience, and if you liked it, if you like this kind of content, if you like the video, let me know, hit the sub button, and I'll catch you in the next video.